They say opposites attract.
Well, how about these opposites? Daddies and sons.
You're listening to Daddy and Son.
A podcast where we explore the dynamics of daddy and son relationships, multi-generational views.
And everything else in between.
Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Daddy and Son. My name is Alex.
And I'm Norm.
This week is my turn to produce. I think we mentioned it last week that we're going to take a different direction. We're going to take week by week, we're going to take turns discussing topics that are...
Producing topics.
Yeah, producing topics that are
we
relevant.
both will discuss them, won't we?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, for sure.
Okay.
That are relevant to us. And for me this week, I want to take a look at wellness and health within the MSM community. For those of you who may not know what MSM means, MSM is not a chat messenger that probably once existed. MSM means men who have sex with men.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is not a widely used term,
No.
especially amongst our heterosexual listeners. Shout out to all of you.
Of which there are many, I'm sure.
No, they're there. They're there.
Shout out to our straight folks.
Shout out to the allies. If you know who you are, pat yourself on the back. Yay!
All right, Alex. Boy, when he's producer, he likes to talk when he produces. But okay, let's talk.
We're gonna start with physical health before it.
But we're both well people, aren't we? And we're having fun doing this, folks. We want you to know that this is for your entertainment and information. Am I right?
You see the shade I have to put up with, listeners?
All right.
Let's start.
Over to you.
Let's start. We're gonna start with physical health, looking at physical health amongst men. So I'm gonna pose this off with you, Norm. How do you take care of yourself? What are some of the common things that you do to take care of your physical health at your age, and what does physical health look like to you?
That's a great question, and we should all be asking that of ourselves. Well, first of all, I belong to a gym. I have a trainer. I got the trainer in the last year after my hip surgery, and I'm telling you, it has made an amazing difference. I have always been physically active, but it's only in the last few years that I've really understood that you have to have a routine, you have to stick with it, and you have to really commit to your own physical health.
So you did a hip surgery last year. Talk about that for a second.
Well,
What's that about?
It was hip replacement because I was having trouble walking for a number of months, and this was the solution. And I've made and most people can make perfect recoveries from hip surgery, but along with it is the need to do your work, to do your exercises, but also just to commit to being physically active. And of course, you want to talk about diet later as well. That's important. But you have to have a routine. And whether it's walking, whether it's running, whether it's cycling, you got to have something that gives you a fitness thing in your life.
Why is hip replacement something that is like, is it age or is it just something that can happen to anyone?
Well, there are younger folks who do have it, but it tends to be something that comes when you're, over 45. In my case, it was almost my current age. I won't divulge my current age, but for those
we
of
all
you
know.
For those of you that were at my 70th birthday party last year, in any event, but no, you are going to talk about your physical fitness. You are like the star in this department.
Well, you know what? I want to understand some like common health concerns. That's what I'm more focused on. When it comes down to physical health, as I have had my own surgery that I've done on my ACL
Mm-hmm.
a couple of years back during the pandemic, and that came out of being too active. I was
Ah,
doing all sort of things. As you know, I play squash, I teach Zumba, I do fencing, I run marathons. I mean, the list goes on.
and he has
But
3% body fat.
6%,
Oh,
but
sorry.
cute.
Oh. It went up while you
I
were
think
traveling.
3%. I think I'd like drop dead like Michael Jackson, but no, I actually had my injury from rock climbing.
Oh, wow.
And I was actually driving home from Rattlesnake Point, and I'd stopped to get gas when I came out the car and couldn't feel my leg. It was swollen, and I had no feeling in my right leg. Um, and that's when I was able to get myself, with some help from folks at the garage, to the hospital, and found out that I had 22 centimeter of fluid around my bursa. And that was from my ACL injury that I had acquired from rock climbing. So I had to take a 2-year hiatus from running marathons, from rock climbing, and I guess the pandemic did help.
From
But
Zumba as well, I presume.
and from Zumba as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I was already doing that online, but when it comes on to physical health for me, I think of it as being in the optimal health that matches my lifestyle and the activities and being able to do the activities that I want to do. So if I'm just somebody who likes cycling, being in shape to be able to cycle, that's to me
Totally,
optimal health.
totally agree. And here's a question, though, that for you and for others, and you can actually have a physical routine that potentially is dangerous for you, or you could injure yourself if you're not careful. And the question is, how do you prevent that?
Well,
Could you have prevented the injury from rock climbing?
I can't say because I'm just, I still follow basic safety, and by no means are either of us doctors. But one of the things that I will say is um, sometimes you got to slow down. Sometimes you have to slow down and pay attention to your body, and that's something that I oftentimes neglect.
Don't overdo it, in other words.
But I like the feeling of the activities that I
Exerting.
do.
Yeah, and you
I
like
do.
variety. You like exciting stuff.
I do like
Yeah.
the way the endorphins that it releases from me. One of the things that
Those endorphins are amazing.
I've read, and I do notice from my readings and agree with, is that one of the struggles that people have with maintaining physical health, particularly when it just comes on to having a routine,
Yeah.
like going to the gym, is sustainability. That the problem that they have is sustainability.
Agree. You
And
got to
that
stay with
problem
it.
comes from not doing activities that they actually love or enjoy doing.
Outside of the workout routine, you mean?
The work routine itself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they haven't found the workout routine that they enjoy.
That they enjoy. I know for me specifically, with my fitness journey, coming from over 100 kilograms, when I started going to the gym maybe 5-6 years ago, and I discovered Zumba, I was actually about to give up going to the gym because I did not like lifting weights. And one fateful Friday evening, as I was leaving the gym, I saw a bunch of people in the group fitness room just having a good old funky time, and the class was about to finish. I went in, had a good time, and decided I was going to start doing this every single Friday. And that was
now
where it started.
And you become a Zumba instructor.
2 years later, I then become a Zumba instructor, yeah.
Well, your point you made a moment ago is really important, that you got to be fit in order to enjoy activities outside of the gym per se necessarily. Like
not
helps.
really.
It
But it
helps.
helps.
Yeah.
It helps. What I think folks need to do is find stuff that are sustainable for them. But, that leads me to my next topic. Well, not necessarily next topic, or just more so my next thought
Mm-hmm.
is, how do you what do you do for yourself that's sustainable at your age? Because you're a pretty fit guy. You're not slouching. You have
No?
really good posture. You
Well,
walk
when I'm
tall.
watching
You
TV, I
walk
might
straight.
slouch. Yeah. Well, look, the training has
Oh,
helped
please no. We
me.
all know that your posture only bends when you get down on your knees.
Oh, no. Now we're getting into last
But I
week's
should not.
topic, dating apps.
Should I not be so vulgar? My
Well,
apologies.
well,
Go on.
see,
Answer the
see
question.
when he produces, he injects these comments. Sustainable. You know what? I think of the word sustainability and I think of environment at the same time. But you know, it's something called. It's a boring word. Discipline.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you, when you're younger, you don't appreciate you you don't appreciate what a great body you have as a young person. It takes more work to maintain yourself in health as you get older. You have to work at this. I said to an older guy my age at the gym the other day, we're similar age levels. I said, you know, this is our work, and he agreed with me. It's like work.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to stay fit, if you want to enjoy walking outside and getting in the car and driving a couple hours and not, you know, your back breaking when you get out, you got to stay fit.
That reminds me of that Moya Rose saying that she from Schitt's Creek, where she says Christ, her name is slipping me right now. She said to that young girl, she's like, take pictures of yourself while you have kinder eyes to look back on them. And I was like, you know what? That's a vibe. That is a vibe. That is a total vibe. I think for me, it's and some people may not agree with this. I think that in the MSM community, folks, and this is my observation, folks who identify as bottoms or bottom verse tend to take better care of themselves. I don't know if it's a psychological thing when it comes down to tops, feeling like they're damn a dozen, which is not true. I think people just tend to attract what they're looking for. Or in the case of the queer community, it seems that there is a lot of covalent bonding attraction.
Covalent bonding. Now
There's a few who
that
don't.
is a word I'm going to have to look up on Wikipedia.
In chemistry terms, that means like attracts like.
Oh, well, which is not like our intro where opposites attract. You know?
Quite opposite.
Yeah.
No pun intended. And you know, I find that if you see, let's say you're just going out in the gay village, probably 9 out of 10 times, if you ask someone, and again, this is all observatory, so don't come down on me in the comment section, the fit guys are probably going to tell you that they're bottoms.
So, without being rude, I maybe shouldn't say this. Most of the men you've
Speak
been
your
with
mind.
you didn't find were in particularly great shape.
I would say majority of the guys that I have dated who were tops were not in the best shape. No, I was definitely way more fitter
Were they
than
older?
them.
Most of the
them.
most of the
Yeah,
time.
most of them.
Well,
And
I
that's
think
a
it's
whole other podcast.
but let's face
yes.
it, older guys are not going to be in as good shape as younger guys, potentially anyway. I mean, it is easier to do. Let me tell you something. Getting on a bike at 35 and getting on a bike at 65 are two very different experiences if you haven't, at 65, been physically active.
So being physically active by 65?
Until 65.
Oh, until 65.
Yes.
Okay, I thought you meant that you have until you're 65 to be physically active.
No. What I mean is your
people should
body
live
doesn't
that
work as
long.
good as when you're older. So it's natural. A lot of the folks you've probably been with who are more mature aren't going to be in as good shape as younger guys. But I never thought of the top and
But I
bottom
don't know
thing.
if that is no. I don't take that as an excuse. But you again are in really good physical shape. So what's everybody else's excuse? What is the excuse for the
Good question.
No pun
No.
intended, for guys in their 40s with the dad bod?
Yeah. Who knows? Do they care? Are they
Well,
aware?
again, goes back to what I just said. I think I'm not sure where this mentality comes from,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, okay, I feel like I'm a dime a dozen, so I don't need to put that effort into myself.
And maybe they don't care about their health.
Mm,
They don't care about their physical fitness.
maybe.
I mean, it's hard to imagine for you and I because we are concerned about that, and most of the people we know are. But I don't identify with somebody that isn't concerned about their physical well-being.
I think it's sheer laziness. And what I
Okay.
would like to understand is, and
Hmm.
again, not because this is probably from a last week conversation, is how are you going to be
Attract. Yes.
attracted to me,
Yeah.
and present a particular way,
Yeah.
want to shoot your shot, and I have no issues with dating any guys from any shape or size, short guys, tall guys, chubby guys, I don't care. I think where it bothers me is when they start to make fitness a prerequisite for their partner, which you oftentimes see on dating apps, where they'll say, oh, fit only, or six pack only, or
Hey,
this
look,
only.
that's a preference.
And they don't match what they're saying that they want. That for me is a pain point.
I'm not sure I'm getting your point.
My point is you need to be what you want to attract. Period. That is my point.
Well, that may be true, but I think you're entitled to have your preference. And maybe you're not a really good fit guy and you want somebody who's fit. There are people like that. Far be it from you or I to say you can't feel that or prefer that.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that if I'm looking for a fit person,
Mm-hmm.
well, you know what? I am looking for a fit person.
Yeah,
Most
but
of the
you're
time.
fit. So again,
Well, what's fit? I don't even mind chubby guys these days a little bit.
and again, I don't mind chubby guys. I've dated chubby guys.
What's the BFF threshold? What's the BFF? No, the
BMI.
BMI. Yeah, sorry.
You mean body mass index?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Best friends
Yeah,
forever.
sorry, I'm thinking about last week's episode again. BMI, yes. My BMI is a little high. My trainers we're working on that.
Oh, please.
We're going to cut it by 4
Any
points.
medical professional will tell you that BMI is complete trash.
Oh.
So I wouldn't even I'll take that with a complete grain of salt.
Well, I've been told I have to cut out cheese and reduce the amount of cream I put in my coffee.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know what? We're going to talk about that in a moment.
Okay. All right.
So
Diet's coming up. Very important.
we take a break. And we're back. And we're going to talk about some, when it comes on to lifestyle choices, particularly, we're going to start with dieting.
Mm.
Talk to me about your diet, Norm.
I don't have a
For
diet.
A guy.
I'm not on a diet. Is that what you mean by a diet? What do I eat on a regular basis?
Yeah.
Vegetables. I try to have salad a couple of days a week. You know, I don't like every vegetable in the book. I'm pretty, meat and potatoes type of guy for dinner. I don't cook a lot of fancy
Like
stuff.
steak?
Once in a while.
Okay.
Meatloaf,
Fancy.
red meat, chicken. I find I'm eating more. I like seafood.
Uh-huh.
It's very little fat. It's full of omega-3s, protein.
Pretty lean, yeah.
You have your veggies. You have a balance of stuff. You don't eat too much or any dessert, maybe once in a while.
Norm, I've had your cooking before. So, okay.
Uh-oh. We're opening the kimono now.
Ladies
I
and
didn't give you
gentlemen,
permission for this.
Let me tell you something about Norm.
By the way, Alex's cooking is delicious. It's very gourmet compared to mine,
Well, thank you.
especially when it comes to air frying.
I think we
cooking.
need to give the people context because Norm eats like a toddler.
A toddler.
Yeah, you don't eat much.
Well, I'm 70 years old. They don't eat as much
I
as
didn't
at
meet
30.
you when you were 70 years old.
Well, I ate more at younger age, and that's another thing. As
when
you
I
get
met
older,
you, from the day I met you till to this day, and that was like 10 years ago, you ate like a toddler.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You didn't think I ate much then?
God, no.
Well, you eat a lot.
When you met me, I
All
was.
right, folks.
I'm a growing
Sorry,
boy.
we're talking among ourselves here, and forgive us for not including. The point is, you eat what you feel you need to eat, and it's the quality of what you eat
Mm.
and the amount of calories, the number of calories you have per day. If it's adequate, you're okay.
Well, I suppose so, because input versus output definitely is the science of the game. So
Output usually matches input, but let's not get into that right now.
one of the things that I've been accused of, including you, I'll never let you live it down,
Oh dear.
is that I eat too much. And
No, I didn't. That's not a criticism. It's an observation.
oh, okay, that's what
Because
we're calling it
because
now.
A, you have a high metabolism.
That's
You're
true.
very, very active. And if you're going to be very, very active all the time, like you are, chances are you're going to need more food. You're going to need more energy. A car that drives farther is going to need more gas.
And this is what so when I say diet, I'm not talking about like the Hollywood diet or
Yeah.
the keto diet.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about what
What do you put in your stomach? What do you put in your stomach
munching?
every day? Yeah. What's in your kitchen?
You
What's
know?
in your fridge and what's in your cupboard?
And for some people, that may be, solid diet. For some people, that may be a liquid diet. For some people, that may just be cum and broken biscuits. But whatever you're eating, we're not here to judge you for that.
But that is an important part of physical fitness. And if you are not paying attention to what you're eating,
Of course.
and by the way, I've become
Overall wellness in
Yeah.
general.
I think you've got to be looking at the back of the packages of stuff that you buy, how much sugar is in the yogurt you buy, how much fat is in the cheese or the meat that like you've got to educate yourself on what you're consuming.
Okay, so well, I'm gonna tell you from my perspective on diet. I used to focus on carbs and I used to focus on sugar, to protein ratio and fiber ratio. Um, Basically now, what I focus on are things like, is it genetically modified? Is it organic? What is the bioavailability of what I'm getting, meaning, or the BVA of the food?
The BVA,
Bioavailability, meaning that when I consume this food, what percentage of nutrition is my body going to be consuming from that food?
is that available on labels at this time? I've never seen that.
Typically, you can research that based on the food if it's an organic food.
Okay.
And I focus on where the produce is coming from and how it's grown. The reason for that is,
That's very analytical.
and the reason I stopped focusing on certain things like sugar, sodium, etc., it's just because I drink a lot of water. Sodium
Yeah.
is not a concern for me.
Yeah.
I
If you have one lemon with water a day, that's a good weight cutter.
that my best friend and I,
Yeah.
Max and I, that's literally, we don't drink water without
lemon.
some lemon or lime.
I've started to do that now. I'm
So-
actually noticing a little bit of flatter front here.
It makes a huge difference.
I'm amazed.
It's
So there's
really a good renal
there-
detox.
renal detox. There's another big
But-
word. Folks, if you want a flatter stomach, do lemon and water once a day. Take it from a 70-year-old with a very mild, I would say,
With a minor dad bod.
that is the expression of the night. A minor dad bod. Yeah.
And the reason, again, these are the things that are important to me. Just making sure that I'm eating clean and making sure that I'm eating as organic as possible. I would say that majority of my money goes into what doesn't go into rent if you live in Toronto, goes into my diet and alcohol, making sure.
Yes. And is your alcohol organic as well?
I mean, I only drink Bombay Sapphire and good wines, honey. And what is gin if not boozy tea? It's healthy. Just saying. You can quote me on that, guys. And so for me, I try to focus on just eating clean as much as possible. Right now because it's Lent, I have switched over to a complete strict vegetarian diet, almost vegan, but not completely. But I have cut out poultry out my diet. I never.
You don't do chicken?
No. I'll see how sustainable that is post Lent, but that is my commitment to the Lenten season.
God
and
wants
no
a report
fish.
after Easter, by the way. Well, I
I
am not
decided not to
quite,
cut alcohol though. I don't know
I,
if I could. I don't know if I could promise God that.
folks. For the record, I look at organic stuff as that's nice if you do it, but it's a little on the fatty side for me. My fatty, I mean DDY, not TTY. Fad D.
Fatty.
I am concerned about the protein intake, my protein intake. I've had a dietitian say you need 20 grams of protein per meal for somebody my age. So I am aware, I think, gee, I didn't really have much for breakfast today.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to make it up at lunch or dinner. So those are the kind of things I think of when it comes to managing my diet. I don't have I guess I've never developed the preferences. I mean, organic food is a relatively new in the last 25, 30 years. When I was growing
That's
up.
as much as I've been alive.
Well, I know, but when I was your age, organic was not really a word that, correct me, folks, older folks out there if I may be wrong, but I didn't pay much attention to organic food when I was 30 years old. I didn't know what it was. Everything comes from, anyway. The point is, you're aware of that. You manage yourself that way. You are healthy. If it works for you, do it.
Well, it's not just about what works for me. Again, I always will revert to the literature that's out there, and
you're doing your homework, and that's good.
What it shows is that even if you, let's say, focus on the sugar, the sodium, the carbs, the protein, all those different the macronutrients, what you find is that even if, let's say, you go and you get a good deal on salmon, and it's farm salmon, the BVA that you're getting from farm salmon as an versus wild salmon, it's not the same.
Okay.
And so you may be eating it thinking that, okay,
it's not as
getting
healthy.
X amount of protein per 100 grams, but are you really? You're really not. And on top of that,
I wouldn't know.
You're getting less bioavailability, plus you're getting antibiotics, or you're getting the different hormones that will affect the human body.
True.
That makes you get plump and makes you put on curves in certain regions.
And is cancer producing potentially and all that
and
stuff.
And microplastics, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, I tend to focus more on, again, source. I focus more on if it's organic, yes or no, it's farm or fed or wild caught, etc. Things like that, battery raised or free range. I look at things like that because
you are a very discriminating food shopper. I would say that the average gay man probably spends more time on a sex app than he does looking at the labels in the grocery store. Is that a fair
I wish
point?
they would spend more time looking at labels in the grocery store than they put labels on the apps.
Well, they might have better luck on the apps if they did.
but, I want to, switch from just like, again, because this is a wellness segment, guys.
Wellness.
And we're looking at like just balance in
I
general.
Vote,
so
I
not
vote
just
for wellness.
Diet. But, when it comes on to some of the technologies that you use to help you in your health and wellness, what are some of the technologies that you're using?
It's called the internet. And I put Google nutritional value of X. And I'm amazed at what I've learned from just doing that every now and then and thinking, you know what, I need to eat more strawberries or broccoli or, if I feel I need iron, what are the foods that are rich in iron? Bingo. You get a whole list of stuff. That's how I manage my diet. It's I think, a little more simple than yours because I don't think about organic stuff and and also you study chemistry. You have the advantage of having a lot more knowledge about what goes behind the biology and the stuff we eat. Most people don't think about way. But
Well, that's a fair point. Well, that's what we're here for today, to
yeah,
be more
so
informative.
but when you want to know
But what other
what food is good,
technology are you using for just like your everyday wellness, as an example?
you got to be look, if you see an article online about a food or about an ailment, read it. If there's a health related thing,
Mm-hmm.
educate yourself.
Okay.
That's all I could suggest.
Well, for me, some of the technologies that I find as everyday essentials for me, and I know I could not live without it, is my wearable technology.
Your what?
My
Your
wearable technology.
wearable?
Yeah,
What's that?
you gifted me the first ever. Remember, you gave me a Fitbit like
Oh, the
6 years
wearable.
ago.
Okay, the watch.
Yeah.
I was just looking for
And
mine today. I can't find it.
and it changed my life. It completely changed my life. I know I've upgraded from a Fitbit to an Apple Watch, but I can tell you that just being able to have it to
Measure footsteps and
track my
heart rate. Does it do
my
heart rate?
it
That's
tracks your heart
important.
rate,
That's important.
blood oxygen levels, all those different things. It does matter. Those statistics do matter to me, and I've
Yes.
been able to use it to be
Especially-
more mindful of my body, mindful of my sleep, mindful of
That's
my
amazing.
movement.
That's amazing.
And I find it to be like an essential for me. And
I'm not aware of stuff like that as much. Maybe heart rate when I'm at the gym, but when I'm not at the gym, I honestly don't care what the heart rate is. I mean, as long as I feel okay.
yeah.
But that's great that you're doing that. And hey, if it enhances your health and maintains your health, that's fantastic.
Well, I don't necessarily look at my heart rate unless I'm exercising, but I look at my heart rate while I'm exercising as a key point indicator for how much I'm creating an output. So, how much of an output I'm creating. So, as an example, I know that if my heart rate is 99 and it's staying that way, it probably means that I could put out a little bit more if
Yeah.
I'm doing cardio.
Yeah.
But if I am doing HIIT, or I am doing or cardio, or HIIT as an example, if it's steady, it just means that I'm not doing it. I'm not putting out as hard as I could be. But if I'm doing something, say I am running, and as you know, I do a lot of marathon training. If my heart rate is a steady, say 120,
Well,
and
tell
it's
me-
not fluctuating, it's a good indicator that my oxygen intake is optimal. So I look at those
120 is
things.
pretty low for a guy your age. I mean, that percentage, you could have it a lot higher, right?
Yeah, it can go higher.
Yeah.
Your BPM, your
Beats per minute.
Yeah, your
See,
BPM can
I try
go
to
higher.
I want to be at 85%.
But if again,
My
if
trainer
your
wants
air
me at 90,
intake
yeah.
and your pace is good and your heart health is good, it's not impossible, because that is my average when I run.
Percentage wise, you know,
Mhm.
there's a chart at my gym that's, you know, for your age, if it's 120 per minute, you're you know, you're 80%. At 127, you're 95% or whatever it is.
Right.
Do you have a percentage in mind of where you want to be when you're working out?
I'm always between like 80 to 90.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You know what? That's as likewise.
Yeah.
And that to me is,
And it may not be for it may not ever, and again, you have to train to get there. It's not
Yes.
something that happens overnight. It takes time. And if you like me and you stop, like I was away for the past 5 months, I didn't exercise at all. And I realized when I got back and I did my first Zumba class,
you must have
after
wiped.
10 minutes, I was winded.
Yeah, I can believe it.
I was like,
I can believe it.
bitch, you're out
Yeah.
of shape.
Hey, listen, I can tell you a story. I've just recently, for those of you cyclists out there, recently purchased a bicycle. I'm going to pick it up at the shop in another couple of weeks. I haven't cycled regularly for probably 20 years, 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
I can believe that the first few days out there, besides my butt feeling sore, I'm going to be probably a little winded if I push it too much. So I'm going to go gradually and you kind of work back up to where I used to be.
Especially with how dry this winter is.
Yeah.
Nostrils gonna get cut up.
Mm.
But you know what? One last thing I want to talk about
Okay.
is as a really essential technology for me. And I'm not telling. Some people may say this is, as you say, fatty. But for me, it's my my scale.
Weigh scale?
Yeah,
How much you weigh?
yeah.
Sure.
So my scale, it has nodes on it that when you hold it and you stand on it, it reads um
Does it talk
the
out loud?
electrolytes.
Oh.
No, it does not, but it has an app. So it
Oh.
reads the electrolytes to fat percentage in your body, meaning water percentage to solid, so solid matter percentage.
Can I sit on
And
that
it tells
later?
you.
Sorry, stand on it. Yes.
And it gives you a lot of really good information, including your BMI. Not that I use that, but what I like to look at are other things like my bone density, or my water percentage for that. For that.
Those
period.
are important criteria. Those are important
it is.
vectors, criteria, whatever
Because
the right.
sometimes you may just feel like you're heavy and
Yeah.
you're just full of gas. Or sometimes you feel you're heavy and it's a lot of water retention. You know, you bust a good fart and all of a
Well,
sudden.
that doesn't
look
weigh
at
very
that.
much. That doesn't weigh.
I mean, you'll be surprised.
Okay.
You take a nice, good dump.
Thank you for too much information. That's,
and then you're
that's
like 2
TMI.
kilograms. You're 2
That's not
kilograms
BMI,
light.
folks. That's TMI. Sorry about that.
And then all of a sudden, like you're good to go. But you know.
Oh boy, folks, we do have fun
whether
doing
you're
these.
whether you're biking, you know, or you're rock climbing. In my situation,
Yeah.
I think it's really good to have hobbies that you enjoy doing.
Yes.
As a method of sustainability
And you know how they're impacting your health.
yeah.
And you continue to do them while at the same time having a fitness regimen that is, I'll say, gym oriented or fitness oriented.
And if you have those tools, almost everyone these days have like an Apple Watch or a Fitbit. Most of us, we're not leveraging the tools that we have
right.
to the best of
You
their
have to manage
capability.
You have
like,
to measure it what you manage.
like use it. You spend a lot of money on it, so use it. Like leverage it. Don't just use it to check the time, you know, or check when you get a new Instagram post
Or see who's left you a message, then they want to go out later.
on Grindr.
Yes. That was last week's topic, folks. What else do we want to talk about tonight before we wrap up?
Well, we're gonna get to that in a moment after break. That happened to me when I came back and I went on my scale for the first time. Just speaking about using scales, is it didn't recognize me. The AI did not recognize me. The scale was like, "Are you sure this is you?" And
You have a smart scale, I presume.
yeah.
See, most people just have a scale that, you know, it's got the numbers of how much you weigh, and whether it's Joe or Alice or Bob, it just gives you the numbers.
The scale literally just looked at me and said, "Ooh, this." That bitch. But anyhow,
It didn't recognize. So what did it tell you? What did it say?
my weight was so off that it just thought I was someone else.
Did it ask for a name?
Yeah, because you register a profile when you when you
wow.
first sign up.
Oh, wow, that's
'cause It's all
interesting.
controlled through the app, right? But
So it was really saying, Alex, you were away too long, and what did you do while you were away? Which happens when we
and
travel, right? I mean, it's
it
hard.
does
It's hard.
happen.
It's hard to stay fit when you travel.
I mean, it is, even if you're not on vacation, you're still in vacation.
I don't
mode.
feel like working out when I'm on vacation. I mean, I know. I really got to tell you, I find it hard to want to go down to the gym at a hotel when I'm on vacation.
Well, you know what?
I do sometimes, but I kind of it's a half-hearted. I got to be honest.
So how do you, that's a good segue.
Yeah.
How do you set goals for yourself, including accounting for, say, your 3-month goal, your 3-year goal, your 10-year goals, for health? How do you set goals for yourself, and include how are you going to sustain those goals during times when you're on vacation?
Well, you can set goals for yourself, and you can also say, I'm not going to try to do anything about it when I'm on vacation. That's fair,
Yeah,
but bear in mind you're going to have to work at it when you come back.
of course.
I
And
don't
deal with the consequences.
I don't probably, I would imagine you probably have some very specific goals. Mine are I want to be pain free. Where I have discomfort in my shoulders, I want to get them fixed so I can do some upper body work. I mean, those are the kind of things I think
Well, I
about.
said preventive care, not palliative care.
It's not palliative, honey.
I'm
I'm
so
not
sorry.
ready for the
Sorry, that
grave.
was mean.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm
But
sorry.
you know what? Preventative care works is in the gym. Sometimes you can do the wrong exercises and hurt yourself. Preventative care is simply, do you mean like for fitness or just general overall
Just in
health?
general, overall health and wellness. Like for me,
Educate yourself. To me, that's the simplest thing.
well, okay.
Know what you need to eat, know how you feel, know what you need to do to feel good, and do it.
Well, that's fair. Yeah, knowledge is power. That's fair. Yeah. For me, because I look at health on almost like what Jim Rohn said about health. Look at health at a three-dimensional perspective: mental health,
Yes.
physical health,
Yeah.
and spiritual health. And so for me, like I said to you, I'm not particularly a religious person, but I still do not neglect my spirituality. And while I try things like meditation, doesn't work for me, but I still try to stay in tune with like basic religious practices that ground me, as an example, such as that teach me things like discipline, as an example, like adhering to what sacrifices I've set for myself for Lent, as an example. Also skincare.
Oh, yeah.
I think, and I've always been an advocate for.
Keels. Keels.
And you introduced me to Kiehl's, actually. Did you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, you introduced me to Kiehl's. I found something better since, but
Oh, really? I
mean,
want to hear this later.
no, this is not a sponsored ad. But so if Kiehl's, if you're listening, we could use a brand deal. But I'm gonna shout out Ordinary Beauty. Decium company. Really simple products. What they say on the package is what is in it, no additional chemicals. And what that does is that it gives the user the opportunity to create their own combination of serums that are specific to their needs. I found it to be very helpful. I found it to be pure. I found it to be clean. I know exactly what is inside of the ingredient. And
Well, here's what may I interrupt?
hydration and moisturization is extremely important
I
from
totally,
an early age.
I was just going to say that. You
Yeah.
start with toner. After you wash your face, toner, then a hydrator,
Yeah.
then a serum. Then, and this is in the evening, then a moisturizer. In the daytime, it's toner, hydrator, moisturizer. If you do that every day, you will not have wrinkles, or you will look relatively youthful. You may editorialize how I look right now.
No, ladies and gentlemen, if you know Norm, or you can look him up on LinkedIn, please don't send him your resume for Sun prospects. He's not looking. Or maybe he is.
But I do, speaking of sun, I do
Send
need
your
to use-
headshot.
You do need, if you have fair skin like I do, you do need a sunblock.
I was going to add that, actually.
Yes.
I was
Anybody
gonna add
does,
that.
really.
And anyone does.
exactly.
It doesn't matter it doesn't
Why-
matter. Let me
correct.
tell you something. It
Correct.
doesn't, as a black person, I think one of the common misconceptions, not just for white people, for us, but
Yep.
even within the black community itself, is that we don't need sunblock. Sunblock is extremely
is.
important. Melanin just means, having additional melanin in your skin just means that you have additional protection against UV rays.
Yep.
But UV rays today, in the world that we live in, especially if
Are
you
stronger.
live in a densely populated city, they are a lot stronger. And you have UV rays in the daytime, and UV rays, though at a lesser extent, they're still out at night.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, see,
so
that's
using a
interesting.
moisturizer that has SPF is extremely critical. 35 SPF or higher.
I need 60, and it's very rare to find a moisturizer with anything
It
more
is
than
very
30%.
rare.
Yeah.
But if you're like me, what I like to do is, because I like to have better control of it,
Yeah.
is that I
Do the sunblock
I
separately?
use sunblock separately.
Yep.
And I apply that again day and nice. As long as I'm leaving the house,
Wow.
I put it on. I actually proved this to my game mom, to Colston.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Sorry, Colston. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm giving you a shout out.
Shout out to Colston.
We actually, I proved this theory to him during the pandemic when we were on a road trip, and it was a very dark, overcast, and foggy day. And he has transitional lenses in his reading glasses, and when we were inside, they were clear. Like you could see his eyes. Look into
They don't tend to
your
work
eyes.
inside a vehicle the way they do
But
outside.
we went outside, and again, it was a foggy and overcast day,
And they,
and they tinted.
wow.
That is proof that even though it was an overcast day and it was foggy, UV
You
rays
should wear your
were
sunblock even on a
Exactly.
foggy, and that is something I don't do, and I should start doing it.
So because it's not the sun particularly that damages your skin, it's the rays, it's the UV rays that damages
Which
your skin.
come from the sun, just
Which
so
comes
you
from the
learn.
sun,
Yeah.
yes.
So we will blame the sun ultimately.
But I say that to say, it just as if you were in a job that you were exposed to UV rays for long periods of time, that also is quite damaging to the skin. Or if you're going to a suntan bed, that you're exposed to UV rays, that can also be damaging to the skin. Or even sometimes there are folks that have UV lamps in their homes. I'm one of those people that have UV lamps in my home. Why? I use UV bulbs to help. As you can see, I'm a plant daddy. So I use UV bulbs
I better
to help
wear sunblock the next
grow my
time I come in the
plants.
living room here.
So I apply UV, SPF, even when I'm indoors, because the lamps that I use around my home,
Well, they work. These plants are crawling all over the place here. It's
that's how they stay green all winter long, you know? So yeah, skincare. Just make sure, like hydrating, and when I say hydrate, I mean drink tons of water and moisturize from a very young age.
well, there is product you can buy that is a hydrator for your skin.
Of course.
And my recommendation.
Hyaluronic acid.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big word now. My suggestion is if you're going to take skincare seriously, when you go into a shop, whether it's Kiehl's or Sephora, somewhere other place, find somebody that knows what they're talking about and educate yourself. Get them to show you the regimen that you should use on your face.
I don't know. I always find myself educating them.
Well, maybe it's where you shop, sweetie.
Keels, if you're listening, please don't step out
But
of...
remember, look, you're
we
a
still want the
chemistry
brand deal.
You're a chemistry major. Let's remember that. Not everybody's a chemistry major. Not everybody is as anal as you are in terms of taking care of themselves. So you tend to know more stuff than a lot of people. Most people don't have that knowledge.
Well, you know what?
And a lot of the people in the stores don't either. Granted that. Some of them do, but
Some of them do, but some really don't.
I agree.
And this
Yeah,
is
right.
why it's important for you to do your own research. And,
I agree.
just as how, and this is where I'm going to shift to when I come on to physical care. At least in the Black community, oftentimes people neglect going to the doctor. I don't know what it is, but people are scared of going to the doctor. They're scared of going to the dentist. I think it's very important to do even if you haven't gotten sick, do your annual checkups. Go do your twice a year cleaning at minimum. And just make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And while you're at your doctor, get referrals
Basic
for
stuff.
for other specialists such as a dermatologist. And if you are
I have a dermatologist.
30
I see him every
years
6
or
months.
older, I think it's something that it should be a basic for you. It should be an essential
And
for
they should
you.
be checking you for any signs of skin cancer,
Yeah.
potentially. Because sun damage can potentially cause skin cancer. I'm being treated for something like that right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in good shape, but that's
Yeah.
because I got a dermatologist that says we need to do this.
Right.
And you got to proactively take care of yourself. Is that what you're saying? Right?
Yeah, don't wait until it's too late. Make sure you're getting your eyes checked. Make sure you're getting your prostate checked. I mean, majority of our audience are men, so I'm just gonna throw it out there.
The prostate's very important, as my doctor once said. One finger's useful, two gives a second opinion.
Some guys out here are like some of the tops. They don't even want you to like hover over their asshole. Don't even touch the fence though. They don't want you to touch it. But you gotta get your prostate checked, mate. You gotta get your prostate checked. I think preventative care is just something that not just as gay men but as men oftentimes get folks
How do they
pushed
do
by the
that?
wayside.
I agree with you. The problem right now in Canada is a lot of people don't have a primary care physician. Who do they go to kind of even do this stuff? Do you go to a clinic?
Why is that though?
Well, that's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah, that's a whole other podcast.
You know,
We're not
like,
going to get deep into
do you
that.
go to a clinic and say, I'd like to have my prostate checked. I think I may have a prostate problem. How do you even know that? You only find that stuff out when you're having a regular checkup.
Yeah.
And your doctor's saying, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And one of them is going to be that. And that's really important.
Yeah. I think one of the key takeaways as we're closing up this week's podcast is I want to challenge our listeners. If you are, and it doesn't matter, even if you're a woman, and any of these resonate with you, and you find and you realize, oh, I actually don't have a primary care physician, and you're relatively young, meaning that you're in your 20s, 30s, or 40s, now is the time. Challenge yourself. This week, go find a primary care physician. Or if you have a primary care physician, but you don't have a specialist for, you don't have an endocrinologist, you don't have
your
a
GP,
podiatrist.
Your doctor will recommend going to a specialist. So
but you have to sometimes take the initiative and ask.
Well, if you have a particular problem, say, please look at this part of my anatomy, doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there must be some medical professional that has greater expertise on this than you do. If they're doing their job, they will send you there.
But the point I'm trying to make is you have to be your own advocate.
I totally agree.
You
got to manage them as service providers.
I'm 31 years old and I have an endocrinologist. And part of the reason why I asked my family care practitioner to refer me to one at an early age, as you know, my father died from prostate cancer. Mm-hmm. And already having a blood-based cancer, I believe that puts me at a high risk. So even at an early age,
so you should be having a PSA test every year.
I said to I know the standard age to get tested for your prostate is 42 years and up.
You should be having it every year.
I said to my physician, I said, I want to start getting tested early. Why? Because family history, and I'm a bottom.
You know what? The doctor should have been telling you that, right?
Well, again,
probably.
My doctor's a heterosexual cisgendered woman. She knows what bottoming is, but she's.
I would hope so.
When I step into her office, that's not going to be like, ooh, my patient is a bottom. He should get his bottom checked. No, that's not going through her mind. But I, again, am advocating for myself as a power bottom to make sure that when my tops go down there, everything is nice and clean as a whistle.
I have a question.
What's that?
How many fingers does she use? Sorry, folks.
Enough to tell the story.
Well,
and so, what are your takeaways? What do you want to refer to? What do you want the listeners to take away?
Take the initiative to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Real simple.
All right. You heard what he says. Live well, eat well, protect yourself, set goals for yourself.
And be well.
Until next time, this is Daddy and Son.
Thank you.